All right, so we've had a whirlwind tour of the round of 32, and I'm just going to quickly move on to the round of 16 because there's so many games to cast. If we put up the deck lists, it looks like Abracadani's on Magma and Abyssian. And sorry, I should mention also, joined once again, returning, Blatm.
Hi, I'm glad to be back.
You any thoughts on these decks?
Um, so Abracadani is known as a Magmar player, so I'm kind of expecting them to play mostly their Magmar deck. And this Magmar deck in particular is really greedy, right? Only six 2 drops, a really heavy top end of the curve with 3 Archon, 3 Elder.
Hmm.
So and the Veteran Silthar is going to be really clunky in the middle. So it's really yeah, it's super top heavy.
Maybe relying on Flash Reincarnation to do a bit of work.
Yeah, it's really hoping it draws Flash. One thing that's kind of interesting about this is the Spirit Harvester and the Dancing Blades. Sometimes people will only play one or the other because they do similar things. But I've been really liking both, so that's a really cool direction that Magmar lists are heading in these days.
Yeah, and the other deck is a creep deck, which to me looks fairly standard. It's like pretty good at sort of winning these late game fights. So there's two like fairly late game decks they're bringing.
Yeah, because of the format, the creep deck might be for something that the Magmar deck has a bad matchup into. I would kind of expect Abra to play mostly Magmar just because that's what that player likes in general. The creep deck is kind of cool. It's got the new Abyssal Juggernaut, so gonna see a lot of creep on the field.
Yeah. Meanwhile, their opponent Cody, if we bring those up, we've got Abyssian Burn and this weird Vanar Brew. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, all 9 artifacts is really cool. Um, Also, super light on the early game drops. I saw them playing mostly Vanar on ladder, so I'm expecting them, I think, to play mostly Vanar in these matches as well. And yeah, I'm really, I'm really excited. Avalanche is a funny choice in an open decklist tournament. Um,
Yeah.
see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how the decks play out because I think I have a better idea of how Abracadani's decks are going to perform. So, well, let's not waste any more time. Let's see how they do. All right, let's get it. We're watching from Abracadani's perspective. You can see they got very high up in S rank. But Cody's no slouch either for sure.
Yeah, Cody was got really high on the ladder, I think. Abra getting super lucky and playing one of his 6 2 drops turn one, player one.
Yeah, they did have the flash as well there, so they could have played something else. But yeah, certainly won't be upset with how their first turn went.
Yeah, I mean Abra is a very good player, and I mean they wouldn't be playing this deck if it didn't work very well.
That's just a Winterblade from Cody, while Abracadani has now got a massive board presence because of this Kajata.
Yeah, Cody's turn one, maybe a little bit weaker than what they would have liked. The Winterblade also here is not as good as it normally is because early game it can be really good for Vanarp, is that 3 attack lets you clear the 2/3s, but then there's a Kujata on board, so the 2/3 is a 2/2, and it's not really not working out.
Yeah, Winterblade's a weird one because, like you say, like that one attack can matter early, but then the other like side of it where it is protecting you doesn't really do anything. So yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that card.
Yeah, it's definitely quite pretty tricky.
Anyway, they managed to deploy some board of their own, so Abracadabra will have to do some trading here. They could just go for an Archon.
Yeah, Archon can be a little scary against Vanar in general, but it's not when the Hailstone Prison isn't deleting it, and you have Kujata on board, and the Hailstone Prison is going to be 3 of your 5 mana. It's yeah, it can definitely be pretty good. The Dancing Blades is kind of awkward because, I mean, I don't know, Dancing Blades on the Snow Chaser isn't really necessary, and it kind of puts the Dancing Blades out of position, and Dancing Blades on the Rejuve also doesn't really line up properly. So we do see the Archon.
Yeah, and they could have been rewarded maybe if they hadn't replaced the Flash. They could have done a Flash Elder, but it turns out they've actually just drawn back into a Flash again. I don't know if that's what you'll necessarily do next turn, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, it can be. You can start overloading the removal. I mean, especially now that it looks like the Archon isn't getting removed. Cody's going to have a hard time answering all of these threats. The Avalanche is being pretty effective here, I think, because if you're Abra, do you run away from the Crystal Cloaker and the Snow Chaser in hand and just let yourself get avalanched, or do you, try and stay in the middle and give them infiltrate value?
I feel like you can tough it out, but having one or two things at a time in the Avalanche spot isn't the end of the world.
I mean, a lot of the time, Avalanche is something that isn't totally crushing, but in a close game, it can definitely completely swing things. So we do see the Elder also.
Yeah, they're happy to cash in that Kajata now because don't need the ramp on to get this Elder out with the Flash as well, and you can just trade that in to clear off their 4-1.
At some point, the 1 damage starts hurting you more than the extra mana starts helping you. And we saw Abra punch the Winterblade there. The timing of when to break a Winterblade is pretty tricky. It's pretty difficult. If Abra didn't punch the Winterblade there, then Cody could break it on their turn, and then all of Abra's pressure here would completely dissipate. So that was a good play by Abra to break it then. Amazing.
It's not bad, but it's not dealing with the Elder or its egg, and when that starts going, it really, really snowballs.
Yeah, having 2 Elders on board is going to be hard. And Cody's list doesn't have a ton of burst. I mean, they have Snowpiercers, and those can do a fair bit, but not that much. So it's going to be tough.
You could even consider egg morphing one of your own guys. I don't know if that's better than egg morphing theirs. I think it might be.
I mean, it's really good here because the way that this works is that it's like aspect of the fox on a wall. So the egg was there at the beginning of your turn, so it doesn't have summoning sickness or whatever. So you can transform it to something that can attack, and then it can attack. And now you're going to get 2 eggs instead of 1. So it's a really big difference.
Yeah, it pans out really nicely.
The flip side here is that all your stuff is now vulnerable to Aspect of the Mountains, whereas before you would have had an 8 health Elder, and you wouldn't have been as afraid of Aspect of the Mountain.
Yeah, it would be a good clear here, wouldn't it? At least you get to keep a 5/5, but...
Yeah, well, Cody could, play a Snow Chaser and then Aspect that. Though the egg placement is pretty lucky.
Yeah.
On that.
So I got a nice formation where Vath's in the center taking up the ideal spot.
I wonder if this is why Abra is playing Eggmorphs. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's not just removal, it's got a proactive component.
Really nice game by Abra.